Hey, friends. Before we dive into today's episode, I wanted to have a chat with you real quick because I don't really talk a whole lot on here about my Etsy shop and everything I have in there for you. Okay. This shop I have created as a collection of all the things that I've put together that help me make my own mom life better and things that I think will help you make your own mom life better too. And it's not just for moms either. There's plenty of stuff in there just for everyday women and growing confidence and organizing your home and all things like that. But I wanted to let you know I have this huge back to school sale going on of 25% off, which is significant for a lot of these products. Um, and that's on a handful of things that I think will help make back to school easier for you and help it just flow better and put in those rhythms and routines and just make it less of a stress. Back to school can be a lot of fun. And I know some of us are already back in school and some of us have another 2 weeks before we go. I'm sending my oldest to school for the first time this year. And that'll be in 2 weeks' time. And so these are the things that I thought would really be beneficial. And I'm going to list them off for you what's on sale in case something catches your eye and you want to head over there. It's menttobloom.etsy.com, and I will link it in the show description too. Um, but I have my physical items, including the daily gratitude journal, the Happy Mom prompted journal, the Happy Mom Brain workbook, and the Everyday Joy planner. I have all of those on sale, 25% off, in addition to um, a lot of items in my printable section, which include a daily joy printable planner, the my ultimate meal planning guide, the quick declutter guide, the guide to your mom's sanity, um, printable mom affirmation cards, and a printable version of the 90 mom journal prompts for Happy Mom that are the same prompts from within the Happy Mom journal. So check those out, enjoy those. I'm so glad to have you here today, and let's get into this episode. They keep telling us to enjoy it while they're young, but our days are filled with chaos and stress and cooking and endless laundry piles. Where's the time to enjoy anything? Yeah, that's what I always thought too. There's so much I have to do. When do I find time for peace and joy and happiness when I barely have time to sleep? Mama, it's time for a shift. You can be a happy mom. Yeah, it's possible. If I can, you can. Trust me. I've been a mess. I've been depressed. I've been overwhelmed. I've been to the bottom of the pits. And I've risen. I've grown. I've bloomed. And it all started when I realized I didn't have to anything. I get to. It is my privilege and my honor and my divine responsibility to be the queen of my home. It's not a burden. I'm not the janitor and the lunch lady. I'm in charge. I'm the ruler. I'm the chaos coordinator. I'm the calm in the storm. I don't have to anything. I get to. And so do you. So let's rise, mamas. Adjust your crown. Accept your responsibility. And change the effing world. It's all in the way you choose to see it. You're listening to I Get To, the podcast with Brittany Clarkson. That's me. Hey there, Mama. Thanks for joining me here today. I have been seeing more and more moms, partly complaining, yeah. I was going to say not complaining, but yeah, complaining, and they have every right to. But kind of complaining while searching out desperately for advice on what to do with their kids' toys. All right, because oh my gosh, if you have kids, you have toys. Hi, if you're just meeting me or you haven't been around here for super long and you don't know, I have 3 boys. My oldest is 5, my youngest is 2. I guess my oldest is about to turn 6 soonish. But they have a grandma who shows affection by giving all the toys that she never had as a child. She did that to me too. Spoiled just the right amount. A not rotten don't feel a sense of entitlement from the spoiling, but like I never experienced wanting a toy and not being able to have it, except for my Cabbage Patch doll that my mom bought me for my 7th birthday and then put in a closet because it was going to be valuable someday and she wouldn't let me play with it. So, 20 years later, when I bought the house from her, she left the Cabbage Patch doll in the closet and I opened it up and gave it to my kids to play with immediately because it had not increased in value at all, according to eBay. So, anyways, that was a little segue there. Kids' toys. Man, oh man, what do we do about that? They want to play in the living room, so you put a toy box in the living room, and somehow it's constantly bursting, and there. You have to pick them all up before you can vacuum the crumbs from all their snacks that end up in the carpet because they refuse to eat their snacks at the table like you ask. It can be so freaking overwhelming to have toys all over the place. Okay? And then do you put toys in their bedroom? Because do you want them to be distracted at bedtime to play with toys? Or do you want them to play in their room during the day? But maybe they only want to be in the living room. Who knows? Do you have a whole toy room? And if you have a whole toy room, do you just close the door and ignore all the toys that are constantly a mess and like just kind of give up the battle to teach your kids how to take care of their own things because they claim that there's too many toys to pick up, but also they will not give up any of the toys? So here's the solution that I have finally come up with. We've done a toy library for the last like 2 years. I think I started the toy library 2 years ago. Like when I really started battling for my sanity and getting serious about things. I tried decluttering toys, but the kids don't want to give up the toys. But they're also, they're old enough to put away their toys, but they're also young enough that they get overwhelmed when there's too many toys to put away, and they just can't do it on their own because they'll get distracted, they'll start crying. I get it. And they always end up needing help to put the toys away when all their toys are out. So the solution I came up with was the toy library. We tried a toy rotation, and that was just super overwhelming for me to try to remember, like, okay, how many toys do we have out? We tried kind of the like Montessori kind of way of having a lot of wooden toys and different varieties of stylings of toys out at one time. But it always got really overwhelming for me to try to switch out the toys and make sure that they all got played with. And it was like, why am I even keeping more toys then if I'm just swapping them out for a toy that's almost the same? It was overwhelming for me. It wasn't fun. It wasn't really a help because I was handling the toys just as much as when I was picking up all the toys every night. I'm not going to say every night. I'm sorry I said every night. I don't pick up toys every night. No, even when it was a mess, I did not pick them up every night. I left them for days on end. I picked them up when I was desperate to vacuum. Or when, my sanity called for it because I just couldn't handle the anxiety of the room, having every single toy everywhere again. Still, like I needed a mental break from that and I needed to see the floor in order to relax a little. So yeah, not every night. Let me be totally honest and transparent with you if we're going to do this. Okay. So then I came up with the toy library. I spent an entire day, hours sorting through all of their toys and putting them all into individual like boxes. Not like all the toys into little boxes, but all the multi-piece toys that would always get like mixed up and lose pieces. So I'm talking like dominoes, Lincoln Logs, Mega Blocks, Legos, wooden blocks, puzzles, anything that was like a set that they, all goes together. I put those all in like these little like $2 Target boxes. They're not quite shoe boxes. They were flatter and square. Not cubes, but square, rectangular prism style. Okay, don't worry about that. But basically shoe boxes. Basically plastic boxes. And you could use any. But I got mine for like $2 a piece at Target. And they came in various sizes, and they fit perfectly into the armoire that we used to keep in the living room. And what I ended up doing was moving the armoire into my husband's office because that door has a keypad lock, so the boys can be kept out of there. My older boys get it now that the library means you take one box out, play with it, put it away before you get another out. But my 2-year-old Drew, he's still not getting that. He wants to play with every single box that he can at once. So that's why it still has to be like locked up for them. But it is helping the older two to understand, like, we do one thing at a time, we put it away before we start another, and it makes them have to agree on what they're going to play with together, because at ages 4 and 6, they're not my kids right now at 4 and 6. They do better agreeing on one box to play with at a time than they do trying to pick up 2 separate boxes and not combine all the toys. Occasionally I'll let them take 2 boxes if they're not like totally different toys, you know. If they're going to be playing with them together, then I agree to it, and I pay them with cookies to clean it up at the end of the day if they haven't already done so. So that really helps them to clean up the living room and get those toys put away. I used to keep a toy box in the living room that had all their like go-to toys all the time, like their favorite stuffed animals, their favorite dolls. They have like almost the whole cast of Toy Story that they play with. And I used to keep that in the living room. But like 2 weeks ago, I got fed up and was like, I am not cleaning these up one more time. I am so freaking done with these toys in the living room. So I made them take them to their bedroom, and they each have a couple drawers in their nightstand where they can keep their toys. Or if they have like their big vehicles, like one's got a garbage truck, one's got a tow truck, one's got a cement truck, they keep those under their beds. But they are responsible for their own toys. And I also refuse because my boys won't go to bed on their own. They need me in there with them when they fall asleep, like holding their hand or laying in bed with them. At least my older two. My younger boy, he always falls asleep with his dad. So that's a nice twist on things. But the older two, I go in their room and I will read them their story, or we'll listen to it like an audiobook. Or they will tell me stories and we'll talk about our days and all that and do our whole little bedtime spiel. And I'll either lay with them if they need it, or I'll hold their hands, or I'll just sit in there and wait for them to fall asleep. But I refuse to go in that room if there's toys all over the floor. Because no way am I going to go through the trouble putting these kids to sleep and then trip over every toy on my way out of that dark room. No, they clean up their toys before I will do bedtime with them, or they can go to sleep on their own, which they have never chosen to go to sleep on their own. They have always picked up their toys. So it's kind of a matter of, so you remove everything that's overwhelming. So they only have a small amount of toys that they have access to all of the time. So that way, anytime you ask them to clean it up, like, it's a mess they can manage. But you're also not like, you're not infringing on their like security by getting rid of toys. Because that was part of the issue with decluttering, is that your kids need to be part of that. You can't just go and give away their toys, according to childhood psychologists, and like people who do this for a living, talk about kids' toys and all that, is that it can create like insecurities. It's like, did your mom get rid of anything when you were little and you're still like butthurt and pissed about it? We don't want to do that to our kids, right? There are toys I'll throw away behind their backs, but it's like broken McDonald's toys that I know they do not care about. They only care about it if they see you with it. And I've never once been asked about a toy that I threw away and had them be upset by it. But yeah, those cheapy, junky ones I would totally throw away. But things they actually play with and love, no. Like one of my kids has a little treasure box. And I mean, he's got little rocks in it and all kinds of little things. And it's like, I wouldn't touch anything that I've ever seen him put in that box. Even if it's something that's broken off of another toy, I wouldn't throw that out if I know it belongs in the box for him. But that's also him learning to be responsible by keeping it in the box and not leaving it like under the couch where it can just get vacuumed up. So yeah, there's that. And I hated the idea of like really decluttering toys. I have gone through and decluttered a handful of times because like we had 2 big totes of Mega Blocks and they did not need that many and we didn't have space to keep them all. I got rid of like half their Legos because they were gifted Legos and they had way too many, and like none of my kids are even like really able to use Legos yet. Um like my oldest is just now kind of getting it. Um but like he's not super ready to like follow the instructions and do anything big that he would need thousands and thousands of Legos for. Like he does not need 2 big, like the giant shoebox totes. He doesn't need 2 of those full of Legos. So we got rid of like half of those, and we got rid of some of the toys that they've kind of grown out of. And I had them agree with me, like, you guys have 5 different styles of car tracks and like ramps and racetracks. Can we narrow this down? Maybe each of you can pick one and we'll get rid of the other 2. So which ones are your favorites? We'll keep those. And then we'll give these other ones to kid who doesn't have any racetracks at all. And so they were able to do that. And now all their race cars and racetracks, they're actually in like a giant blue tote, like the big totes that you store your Christmas decor in. One of those is what we use for all the car tracks. So that doesn't fit in the armoire, but we are able to put it away in the office, and it fits all of their bigger vehicles too, except for the ones that they choose to keep out all the time, which stay under their bed, like I mentioned. So that's like how the toy library works, and it really does work for our family. It really helps to control the mess. And the other day, my husband left the office door open and they pulled out like 3 totes at once. Like they had like their farm animals and their Noah's Ark with all his animals, and they had like their tool set. And I remember seeing the 3 of those out and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe we used to let them have 10 times this amount of toys at one time." And I thought it was like okay, because one thing that's overwhelming to them, they're not playing with all of them at one time. And it's overwhelming to me to think about this mess, and they cannot clean up that mess because it's overwhelming. And we were all just overwhelmed and frazzled. And oh, I can't believe that was our day today when I saw that little mess that they had. So I had to help them put that away because there was a lot of sorting involved, and I had to keep them focused on it. But they all worked to help and all this. And I'll add a side note, in the living room, because they do like to play in the living room, they almost always end up just running around the living room. So the living room is where they'll play with their totes, their everything that comes out of their toy library. They'll play with that in the living room. And then the only other things they have in there are like a big blue gym mat. And then they have some of those big foam blocks that they use for like building forts and things like that. So they have where they throw them at each other. Let's be honest about that. So that's what they have. And that is such an easy mess to maintain. Like it's literally 10 items. Oh, they have a little exercise trampoline in there too. Because, the kids got to be able to get their energy out, right? Otherwise, they just jump on the couch. So trampoline for the win. That's how we do toys. That's how we do the toy library. That's how I keep my sanity when it comes to toys. Because those were like, man, there was a time this was just the worst part of every day. All the freaking toys. So find something that works for you. If you have something else that works for you, let me know, because I'd love to pass that on and share that with other people too. Because maybe the toy library doesn't work for everybody. But I mean, you might think like, isn't that creating more work because I have to get the toys out for them every single time? It's like, is it creating more work though? Like I spend a lot less time touching the toys when I'm handing them a new box or just opening the office door for them to go get a new box versus having to help them clean up their toys every single day because it's too overwhelming of a mess for them. So there's that. I hope this is super helpful for you. Let me know if there's anything else I can clarify for you. Go ahead and like send me a DM on Instagram at Britt Clarkson, or an email at hello@brittanyclarkson.com. I'd love to hear from you guys. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode of I Get To. It really does mean the world to me to have you here. But are you ready to take this a step farther? Check the description below this episode and grab the Happy Mom Mindset mini guide. It's totally free to you, and it's not just for moms, by the way. Then hop onto Instagram. Let me know what you thought about this episode. Share your screenshot, tag me, Britt Clarkson. And if any part of this has resonated with you, I so appreciate if you'd leave me a review and a rating on Apple Podcasts. It really is just the only way podcasts get seen. And then share this on social, text it to your bestie. You're part of a movement now. We're here to change the minds of moms everywhere. It doesn't have to be just this hard, hot mess thing anymore. We get to enjoy our lives, guys. Let's go.